Welcome back again, everybody, to Boats, Beers, and Backroads. I'm Jamie Allison, and today, really excited with our guest today. He's a Canadian country music icon. He's a Hall of Famer, I know, and the driving force behind one of the most legendary kind of country rock bands this country's ever seen, which is really cool. Jason McCoy, he's with us. He's the frontman of the Roadhammers, and they're kind of bringing that kind of gritty country rock kind of feel to their music. Been doing it for a couple of decades now. Earned a Juno Award, lots of CCMA wins, and respect from fans all over the world, which is really cool. Their newest single is "Till the Wheels Fall Off," and they're back doing some touring, which I know we can talk about. But again, thank you for taking the time for us today, Jason. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you doing it for us.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Good to be here.
All right. Well, why don't we, work back a little bit, because obviously you've had a real varied career. I mean, you started kind of doing solo stuff, and then obviously have connected in and done something with Roadhammers. Had some really early success on that. But why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of that move, I guess, from being a critically acclaimed solo person to moving into being with the Roadhammers now too. So tell us about that.
Wow, yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I mean, I started out when I was I guess 15, 16, really, taking a swing at it, playing in little clubs and legions around my hometown of Barrie and up Midland, really, on central Ontario. And it led to, heading to Nashville. I had some, early single success with MCA Records, and that turned into Universal Music, and that turned into, This Used to Be Our Town, of course, Born Again in Dixieland, all these different songs that have been great to me.
Yeah.
And actually, it was 2001. I won Male Artist of the Year at CCMAs, and I was kind of confused as to what to do musically. Like I was very much a traditional artist, but pop country was taking over. So it was about the time of George Strait having that country sound, and then Shania Twain and Billy Ray Cyrus going to this pop kind of it was just a weird time in country. Yeah. So I was talking to a friend of mine who ran CMT, and he said, "So what do you want to do now?" And I said, "Well, I kind of want to, maybe just do a stopgap record and see which way the winds are blowing in country music, because I didn't know what to do." Yeah. And so I said, I always loved kind of trucker music. I was listening to these old vinyl trucker records. I thought, what if we did like Junior Brown was, I think, going at the time. I said, what if we did like a real cool, vibey trucker tribute record, Yeah. And it was just going to be like a Traveling Wilburys kind of thing. And it was at the time when they were doing a lot of reality TV shows, behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. And it just turned into putting this band together. And so Chris on bass had already been in my band. And then Clay and Corbett were a totally new idea. And so we just brought that all in and created this band that just, hit the jackpot right off of beat one. It's been an amazing ride.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about it too, is you didn't just slowly start with that. I mean, you jumped to number one and did lots of kind of very cool things with that first album that you guys put together. What was it like having that much success for the first round and heading into what you're doing now?
Spoiling.
Yeah.
We were spoiled. I mean, having CMT and radio and just the trifecta of everything that an artist could hope for, we had right out of the gate. And it was also, you got to remember, it was a time when people were locked onto CMT, right? Mm-hmm. So we had 2 seasons of the making of the Roadhammers, and then that got rebroadcast on GAC in the States and a lot of ABC in Australia, and so we still have these fans and this touring base in all those areas because of that, because TV was such a big integral part of what we did and do. So it was a magic time. I mean, we were so blessed to have all those things lock up all at once, and now it's like social media is the new TV, right? Like it's a different animal, but it's still there, the visual kind of thing. Now we get to perpetuate that. It's like we have our own TV channel, so we've been spoiled right from the get go, but we don't take a day of it for granted.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so what's that like? Because I know you've said in the past that when you're playing live, sounds probably more like rock, the style of music you do, than
Yeah.
traditional country. Um, but you seem to have captured that, I think, a fair amount in your recordings. But what's that like when that part's a little bit different and you're having to do the social media stuff and everything that's maybe a little bit different, trying to get that feel across?
Well, you know what? It's interesting because when I started out, I wanted to be George Jones. I used to fall asleep to George Jones, Don Williams cassettes, going
Yeah,
to sleep at night as a kid. And then Randy Travis came along, and that's who I wanted to be. I used to play in clubs around here, and like I said, the Legions and stuff.
yeah,
And I'd always sing the Randy Travis song. So they started calling me Little Randy. I was going to be Randy Travis, right?
yeah,
And but you know what? And I never really listened to rock and roll. I never really got into it that much as a kid.
yeah.
But then when the Roadhammers came along, and I got the influence from Chris and Clay and all these different people that, it's like I can't sing that stuff per se, but I can play it, and I really enjoy it. So we kind of adapted for what the project needed. It's not what it is in my DNA per se. I bring the country to it. Clay brings the rock, and Chris brings the blues.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different experience from what I started doing to what we're doing now, and it's pretty liberating. And I got to say, I've got the best of all worlds because I still get to go out and do Jason McCoy shows, which are more traditional. I get
Yep.
to do the stuff like Eastbound and Down and the Hammer songs that we've done covers of,
Yeah.
and songs like I'm a Road Hammer are just it's so removed from what I grew up doing, but I've grown into doing it. So I feel like I've got the best of all worlds.
Well, and it is interesting how country music broadly has changed even from that time. I mean, the
Mm.
popularity is so high right now, but
Sure.
it's also the sound has changed so much. I mean, I was at a Hardy concert last week, and that sound live is, I would say, probably a lot closer to kind of a Roadhammer show where it's loud, and but it also has its traditional elements. But how have you seen that? I mean, you've been in the business for a long period of time now, and you've probably seen it shift a number of times. What's that evolution been like for you, knowing that now it's the popularity is probably higher than it's ever been broadly, I guess.
Well, it's interesting because I grew up in Barrie. I was born in Barrie, Ontario, and we
Yeah,
moved out to Camrose when I was a little guy. Moved back
yeah,
here when I was about 8 or 9, and so when I went to high school here in Ontario, like I think I was about the only kid who was into country music in my high school at least. So I used to
yeah,
bring Ricky's Gags cassettes to school, and I'd play them for all the guys who were into heavy metal, and I'd
yeah,
play all these bluegrass picking things, and it would kind of blow their mind. Like how does this guy doing this? With an acoustic guitar.
yeah,
And when I was a kid, there was always this thing on country radio where it was either too country or too pop. So in the day in the 70s, you'd have Merle Haggard and George Jones would be on the radio up against Dolly and Kenny with Islands in the Stream. So
yeah,
you'd always have traditionalists going, "Oh, that's not country," or you'd have people going, "Oh, I love this new sound." And then go into the 80s, the same sort of thing. Go into the 90s, and like I said, it's always been a thing. But the common denominator has been the quality of the songs
mhm,
and the bandwidth of the fans. Like they love the traditional, they love the pop. So there's room for everybody in the sandbox. But I remember seeing like the Kentucky Headhunters in the '80s and early '90s and going,
yeah,
it's just country music with Les Paul guitars, right? Like it's not.
yeah,
It's just a little bit more of an attitude. So I've seen that wheel come around a lot of times, and now we're going through that again. You come off
yeah,
Florida Georgia line with bro country and all this kind of hyper produced stuff, and then
yeah,
we get into Stephen Wilson Jr. and
yeah,
Zach Bryan, and it's neat to see my kids are gravitating toward the stuff that's not overproduced, and they're
hmm,
going back to what? They're going back to the quality of the song and the uniqueness of the performer, right?
yeah, yeah.
They love the story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's always been the common denominator, I guess, in country
Yeah,
music is the storytelling part of it. And
for sure.
I just find it really cool that I mean, you've toured all over the place and you've opened for I think you've opened for Chris Stapleton, you've opened for Def Leppard, like very different kind of things, right? What like do you have a favorite kind of artist that you've either collaborated with or been kind of a part of that experience with that that you can tell us from that end?
Oh, lots of them. I mean, even on our new single "Till the Wheels Fall Off,"
Yeah,
having Eden Thornley play guitar on it, Tyler, from Theory of a Dead Man, Tyler
yeah,
Conley's he's iconic, and so to have these guys lend their voices and their time to our project is pretty special. But all through the years, we've been fortunate to work with all these artists. I'll tell you one story that was amazing, and it sounds like a lie to this day, but we were hired to play a festival in France. At least we thought it was a festival. A little bit of a
yeah,
language barrier. So we knew we were on this show with the Scorpions. And we thought it's in Tours, France. And we thought, well, it's probably a festival. We're probably on at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then a bunch of acts, and then the Scorpions, right?
yeah.
It was a co-bill with the Scorpions. So it was the Roadhammers and the Scorpions. And like we're playing on the stage. It was in the middle of the summer. It was so hot. And it was like playing on a spaceship. And these guys were so great to us. The fans were just off the hook awesome.
Yeah.
And funny because that was, I think that was a Friday night. And on the Saturday night, I had a show in Ontario at a place called Holyrood at the Jamboree. And it was a Jason McCoy show. So one night I'm playing in France with the Scorpions, the Roadhammers. The next night I was back in Ontario doing a solo show, and it was like traditional country. So we went from this, that's exactly my life, going from this rock and roll show, a real rock and roll show,
Yeah.
to a traditional country show within 24 hours. It was mind blowing. And that's kind of been the, that's not every day, obviously, but that's a standout. And that's just been the wild, crazy ride it's been.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're lucky in many ways that you get to kind of hit those two types of genres and very different experiences all at the same time, which is very cool.
It's incredible because the guys in the band, they grew up listening to the Scorpions. I knew of Scorpions. I listened to the music in high school, but they're just really were inside the Scorpions machine. Get to meet the guys and all that. It was pretty special. And for a guy like me, I just get to enter all these really unique rooms, and it's like a kid in a candy store. I'm just amazed. It's like, hey, what a great front row seat to this amazing story.
Yeah. And the Roadhammers have been going for a while. What's the secret in kind of keeping that group kind of together? And I mean, that's the one thing that's challenging for people all the time when you do, whether you come together or you grow apart, musically or whatever it happens to be. How have you guys kind of kept that connection going?
Well, I think it comes down to the fans. Like, I mean, you hear a lot of artists say it's all about the fans. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for the fans. Well, it's true, and I've always said this. Like, if it weren't for the fans, our shows would be called a rehearsal. They're the ones that make it a party, right? So, as long as there's fans to play to, and as long as the agent picks up the phone and says, hey, festival wants to play here, or a tour, or whatever it is, that's a wonderful thing that the phone's still ringing. But it comes down to the fans. It comes down to that story. We've always taken the music very seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and I think that's key. You gotta deliver every time you're out. And I think the other thing is like doing things like Till the Wheels Fall Off is definitely a charge toward rock and roll as opposed to this country rock that we do normally.
Yeah.
And we might do something super traditional country. So we always want to be a little different. I think it keeps it fresh for the fans, keeps it fresh for us.
Yeah. Well, explain a little bit about that, because you've got new music out, you're you're doing tour stuff now, and I know we're going to be kind of all across Canada in the next little while. What is the difference to those people who haven't been exposed to it yet? What can they see or hear in your in this current kind of tour and in the music this time?
Well, we're on the Till the Wheels Fall Off tour with our friends Doc Walker, who we've toured with and worked with many years, and it's fun. The thing about touring with another band is it's hit after hit. So we get to play all their songs. We're on stage together doing this whole thing. So it's
cool.
Back to that. Trying something new thing. You can't I don't think you can just go out and tour the same old models, the same old stuff. So everybody's on stage together. It makes a whole different show. Wow. As far as, what people can expect from a Hammer show, I'm a road hammer, eastbound and down. I throw my own, Born Again in Dixieland, stuff like that in the show. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like the last waltz meets, I don't know what. It's rotating guests, and it's just a lot of fun. We have the big truck stacks on stage, and we fire the CO2 through them. We got a lot of smoke and all that kind of stuff, and it's all about the show.
Yeah.
But the music's where it starts.
Yeah. Well, and it's a real party atmosphere, I think, from that end because of the music too, right? Like your music kind of connects with fans that way, I think too, because it's got a hardness to it and everything else, and kind of that little bit of party feel to it, I think.
Yeah,
so.
We're posers. We're trying to be tough.
Yeah.
We're not really tough.
Well,
But,
hey, it works.
yeah. The cool thing we've been doing lately is we got the video screen and all that with everything behind us. We put up a QR code, and then people can email requests. And
really?
It's awesome. So we go up, we Girl on the Billboard's a big one. I'm a Road Hammer, the new song, Till the Wheels Fall Off.
Yeah.
Our first single off this EP, Dirty Hands, Clean Money. It's amazing when you put a song out, and then I've been doing this for years, and it still is magical to me how you can see a song written, recorded, but it doesn't make the full cycle of life until you see the people in the audience singing it back, and you're like,
Yeah.
It's pretty silly because you put this money out to market it, and you're on social media, and you're like, how do these people know these songs? Is it
Well, it probably never gets old as an artist to have somebody sing it back to you, right?
Man.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I've been doing this for 40 years, and it's still, it's amazing. Like, people come up and they sing I'm a Road Hammer, and I'm like, that's magic, because I'm still that 10-year-old kid in my bedroom learning to play guitar, right? Like, we're pretty lucky to be doing this.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so one of the things that we do as well is that we ask a few questions because you're in an area where it's cottage countries right there and all those things too, right? So one of the things that we ask are a couple of, like, if you're doing things in the summer, do you have activities you like to do? We talked just before we came on here that you like kind of touring in the winter, because then you also can still do the stuff you enjoy in the summertime too, outside of the festivals and things like that. What does Jason McCoy like to do when he's not kind of in the middle of doing tours and music?
We have a boat, just a little 22-foot bow rider, and we hit Georgian Bay. We keep it up, just up in Midland there.
Yeah.
And we go out in Georgian Bay and hit rocks, man. That's the game. So fishing, a lot of my kids, we go out with their friends and do a lot of tow behind floaties and all that stuff, and just the inner tube. Georgian.
Yeah, traditional cottage stuff, right?
Oh, it's crazy good. My sister's got a cottage up there, so we go up and try to get in a weekend the odd time. And I mean, it's I can say this because I've been lucky enough to travel around the world, and we literally live in the best place that you could think of. And we've got the ski hills here where I am. We got Georgian Bay, we got Barrie waterfront, we've got all these wonderful things. And so when it's summer, we live on a farm. It's dirt bikes, muddy dogs, and boat.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, all the stuff that you kind of hope people take advantage of when they live here, right? Like that's
all the stuff we sing about, right? It's it's for real. Like, we got dirt bikes, four-wheelers, trucks, and the boat, and I mean, it's it's game on, bonfires and farm life. Okay,
with bonfires, I'm assuming you've pulled out the guitar a few times when you've done that. Is there, like, what is your kind of go-to song you like to play by a campfire? I mean, is it something that's traditional, or does it mix a little bit? What would you do?
Usually whatever the crowd wants. It's like a show. You want to play nothing but the hits, right?
Yeah.
You know what I love to do? I love to back people up. So if somebody, I got friends who play guitar, they're not professional musicians, but I love when they sing songs, and then, I'll just sit back and play guitar. So whatever's on the menu for that. But usually, I do, George Jones stuff, things that, I grew up listening to, or, it's usually classic rock. If you adapt some of those, you grab an acoustic guitar and play some Heartland stuff, Springsteen, Cougar, all that stuff. It's just whatever fits the bill, and you can't go wrong with good old Canadian, Stompin' Tom stuff. And if it's a bonfire, you got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and the other one is if you are choosing kind of something to, whether you go out, like, are you a sit on a dock kind of guy? Are you a go out and go fishing kind of guy? Like, what's your favorite thing? Like, are you a relaxed kind of cottager, or do you go out and
No.
no, I'll be out pulling the tube around and going out and doing the fast stuff?
Yeah, pulling the tube around, but I'm more the fix it guy. So the kids are,
Ah, yeah,
jumping in the water and I'm mucking with the boat and trying to fix the cable or the light or the whatever it is.
yeah, yeah,
I'm the fiddle fart around guy. Got the
yeah, yeah,
screwdriver and stuff. I don't relax well. My wife and I just had a big talk about this yesterday.
yeah,
She's like, everything would be great if you could just relax. And I'm like,
yeah,
I like to do stuff, right?
yeah,
And but when they're on the boat, I definitely try to. I try to keep the phone off, which is a big
yeah.
challenge for me. Fishing's great. I don't. I let my mind drift a little bit when I'm fishing. I like that, but only if my son and daughter are fishing with me. I mean, I love killing time when I'm killing time with them.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So tour wise, I mean, you are going to different places. You mentioned, I think, when we were chatting before, you're at the time we're recording this, you're going to Winnipeg, I think, the next day. So,
Yeah.
what's it look like the next little while for your tour and where you're hitting and things like that?
Well, we're off to Regina this weekend, so Friday, and then
Yeah,
Saturday's Winnipeg. And like I
right.
said, it's winter time in some of the coldest places in Canada, but you know what? It's some of the warmest crowds, right? And
Yeah,
it's awesome. We were just out in Edmonton, Calgary, then we're hitting Kitchener on February 20th, and then Niagara Falls View Casino on the 21st of February.
yeah,
And then, it's like we've got all these shows lined up for the peppered through the spring and then hitting our summer festivals. So
yeah.
it it never ceases to amaze me that, in the fall of the previous year, you're booking all these stuff up for the next year and you're like, oh yeah, it's going to be lots of
No
time,
problem.
yeah, we'll get the show together. And all of a sudden it's like, it's March. Like,
Oh
how
my
did that
gosh, it's
happen?
there.
So you got
Yeah,
to put all the new stuff together. And it's kind of like we've got the best of all worlds where every place we go to, for the most part, we've played before. So it's like we got these second homes all around the world. We
yeah,
just were in Australia last year and, heading to Europe, doing all these different things. Like we're pretty blessed to have this front row seat to all these really cool places, whether you're playing in, Boyle, Alberta, which is where we're going, or you're playing
yeah.
in, Gympie Muster in Australia. Like it's the same thing. People love energy, they love live music, and they love a good time.
Yeah, yeah. And have you found festivals seem to be really big now too? I mean, I remember, many years ago that, a big festival was a couple of days and there were lots of people, some camping, things like that. But now it just seems when you get some of these festivals are just huge and really popular now.
Yeah, it's I was just talking to the guys about this, and it's amazing because like there's all different types of festivals level. We play rodeos, we play county fairs, we play
Yeah,
all this different stuff, right?
yeah,
But it all comes down to well, it all comes down to the party pit, right?
yeah,
So you got your diehards like right up there, right up front, and everything, and
yeah,
that's where the magic happens. So you hear other artists say this, but it's true. It doesn't matter if it's 100 people or 100,000 people. Like it's the same energy. And we played clubs. We played for staff, like
yeah,
maybe one or two people in a club over the years, and you're just starting out. And there's nobody there, but you know what? You still give it all you got because someday you'll be on stage with 5,000 people, and that's where you learn. You learn in those quiet times, right? But the way festivals are going, I think it just speaks to the popularity of live music and the fact that people don't want the razzle dazzle. They want to see who can really do it.
yeah,
Who can
yeah,
really play.
yeah.
You can do everything you want online, but if you can deliver it live, then that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I mean, if you go to places like Bluebird Cafe, I find it's just it's so bare bones that if you can play at a place like that, well, you've got talent. So really, really cool to see people who can actually kind of convey the songs that way.
Like living in Nashville for years and years, like some of the most magical times I ever had were quiet times like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when nobody's in the club. Like Bluebird,
Yeah,
before the TV show in the 90s, it was,
yeah,
it wasn't a very busy place.
Yeah.
And so I'd go and see Mike Henderson and the Blue Bloods play, and so you had Glenn Worf on bass and Chad Cromwell on drums, and all these guys who were like the heavy rhythm section. And then fast forward, and we've got these guys guesting on Roadhammer records, and it's your mind's blown. Talking about falling asleep to Don Williams records, and we cut most of our Roadhammers albums at the Sound Emporium, which is where all that Don Williams stuff was recorded. So
Yeah.
it's like a dream come true. Like I can't stress enough to kids that you have to like just go be a person of action and follow your dreams, because I mean I like seriously, man, I know like 4 chords and we make up stuff that rhymes for a living, and we get to go all around the world and do these wonderful things just by taking a swing at it. You never know, and we got lucky, and there's a lot of luck involved, but there's this magic of just I don't even know how we got here, but just this magic of trying, and music's taken us to the best places ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's smart. Everybody should hear that message, because it doesn't matter whether it's music or anything else. I mean, the reality is, if you take the swing and try, then you're probably, you might not get exactly what you want, but you're going to get something better than what you have. So.
And who cares? Like, again, like we've been super successful in that we've had, wonderful, amounts of crowds, and we've sold records and all these things.
Yeah.
So it might sound a little disingenuous when you say, it doesn't matter if you played it doesn't matter what level of success in your mind you hit, right? Yeah. But it's really true. If we hadn't hit all the success we had, I still would be doing it, right? Yeah. It's the love of it. So don't measure your success by how many tickets or records you sell. Measure it by how much you challenge yourself. Are you rising to your ability and doing the best you can? And it doesn't matter if it's music or it's, selling shoes. I don't care. Like, you got to show up every day and do your best.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great advice either way for everybody to hear. So, again, if people are going to follow you, Jason, and obviously the Roadhammers, do you have specific things ways to find that?
Oh, sure. Well, at the Roadhammers, any social media, and at the Jason McCoy, same thing. And, it's one and the same. So, I mean, if you find one, you'll find the other. But, make sure you follow all the guys, and Clay and Chris, and you're always up to stuff. Clay's working on a new solo record, and we've got a new record label called Sky Sound Records with our pal Dan Davidson. And it's just a way for us to onboard some new Canadian talent and give them the amazing opportunities that we've had.
Yeah, that's very cool, and we will make sure that we put in the show notes. If you didn't get that right away, we'll put all those in the show notes, so you can click right through. And if you're listening right now, if you haven't hit subscribe on the podcast, do that now. And we have great people every week, just like Jason. So, and again, obviously you're super busy, so really appreciate you taking the time with us, Jason. It's been great to hear kind of what's happening with you, but also all the great stories you've kind of shared today.
Well, thank you very much. And I was, been watching the podcast, and you had Bob Azumi on there as well. And, talking about fishing earlier, I was like, well, I'm not that level, but, I can catch the odd sunfish, right? But, it's been a great time chatting with you. And thanks for taking the time today.
Oh, no problem at all. And thanks to everyone else. And thanks for listening. And we'll talk again soon on Boats, Beers, and Backroads.
You bet. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks.